The lone voyager. The Galactic Confederation had ruled the stars for 10,000 years. Comprised of 12 advanced species, they controlled over 8,000 systems across 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. Their technology was unparalleled, their military might unquestioned. The Confederation's golden ships traveled through the void with precision and power that lesser species could only dream of. Admiral Thorax of the Kian species stood on the observation deck of the Confederation flagship Eternal Dawn. His scaled skin reflected the starlight as he gazed at the holographic display of a small blue-green planet newly discovered at the edge of the Perseus Arm. "Earth," he said, the word feeling strange on his bifurcated tongue. A backwater planet with primitive beings barely able to reach their own moon. High Commander Velix, a tall saurian with luminescent eyes, joined him at the viewport. "Our scouts report they have only recently developed faster-than-light travel. Their first interstellar ship launched merely 15 Earth years ago, and yet they've already established 3 colonies in nearby systems," Thorax noted. "Unusual expansion rate for such a young species." "Concerning? Perhaps," Velix admitted, "but hardly a threat. Their technology is centuries behind ours. The Confederation Council had been monitoring Earth for decades. At first, humans were merely a curiosity, bipedal mammals with unusual cognitive patterns and emotional complexity. As humans developed nuclear weapons, then primitive spaceflight, the Council's interest grew. But it wasn't until Earth's first FTL ship, the Pioneer, made contact with the Xindere, a Confederation protectorate species, that the Council became truly concerned. In just 15 years, humans had established 3 colonies, developed trade relationships with 4 non-Confederation species, and begun upgrading their technology at an alarming rate. They were adaptable, innovative, and worst of all, unpredictable. "The Council has made their decision," Velix said, activating a secure channel on his neural implant. "Earth represents a potential destabilizing force in the sector. They are to submit to Confederation oversight immediately or face containment measures." Thorax's mouth pulled into what passed for a smile among the Xin. Containment was the Confederation's polite term for complete military subjugation. Earth would be given a simple choice: bend the knee or be broken. "Dispatch the 5th Fleet," Thorax ordered. 200 ships should be sufficient to make our point. What neither Thorax nor the Confederation Council realized was that humans had been preparing for this moment since their first contact with alien life. They knew they weren't the strongest or most advanced species, but they understood power dynamics all too well from their own bloody history. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge of the ECS Defiant, Earth's most advanced warship. At 34, she was young for such a command, but her tactical brilliance during the Proxima incident had earned her this position. The Defiant appeared to be just another exploration vessel, modest in size, lightly armed according to standard scans, and crewed by only 120 personnel. "Confederation fleet detected, Captain," Lieutenant Karim reported from the tactical station. 200 ships, heavy cruiser configuration. They're on an intercept course." Chen's face remained impassive, but her dark eyes flashed with determination. "Right on schedule. Maintain course and speed. Open a channel when they're in range." This wasn't humanity's first encounter with the Confederation. Earth's intelligence network had been collecting information for years, piecing together the Confederation's history, technology, and most importantly, their weaknesses. What the humans lacked in brute force, they made up for in preparation and strategy. "They're hailing us, Captain," Communications Officer Park announced. "On screen," Chen ordered. Admiral Thorax's alien face filled the view screen. "Human vessel, this is Admiral Thorax of the Galactic Confederation. Your species has expanded beyond its authorized boundaries. You will power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Earth will receive terms of surrender within 1 standard cycle." Chen raised an eyebrow. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the Earth ship Defiant. We're on a peaceful mission of exploration. We were unaware of any authorized boundaries. since Earth has no formal relationship with your Confederation. Ignorance of galactic law is no excuse, Thorax replied coldly. Your species has been deemed a destabilizing influence. You have two options: submit to Confederation authority or face immediate containment. Chen's expression remained neutral. I see. And if Earth were to decline your generous offer, then your world burns, Thorax said simply. You have 1 Earth hour to communicate with your government and receive instructions. I suggest you advise them to be reasonable. After the communication ended, Commander Evan Torres, Chen's XO, approached her chair. They're deploying in standard Confederation battle formation. Typical intimidation tactics. They think we're scared and outmatched, Chen replied. Let's maintain that impression. Send the coded message to Earth Command. Operation Trojan Horse is a go. The hour passed quickly. The Confederation fleet maintained position, weapons powered but not yet targeting the lone human ship. They expected capitulation. Every other species had eventually bowed before their overwhelming might. When the communication channel reopened, Chen faced Admiral Thorax again. Admiral, I've received my orders from Earth Command. And, Thorax prompted, already anticipating victory. Earth respectfully declines your offer and proposes an alternative: mutual recognition and diplomatic relations rather than subjugation. Thorax's scales flared in anger. You dare to counterpropose? Your arrogance is astounding for a species with only 1 warship facing 200. Chen smiled slightly. Perhaps, but before you make any hasty decisions, Admiral, I should inform you that the Defiant isn't exactly what it appears to be. Your primitive attempts at deception are pointless, Thorax scoffed. Our scans show your vessel is likely armed and technologically inferior. You cannot hope to. Admiral, Chen interrupted politely. Have you ever heard of the Trojan Horse? Before Thorax could respond, the Defiant underwent a startling transformation. Hidden compartments along its hull opened, revealing advanced weapon systems. Its energy signature tripled as previously masked power systems came online. What is this trickery? Thorax demanded, his composure slipping as his tactical officers reported the sudden change in the human vessel's capabilities. Not trickery, Admiral. Strategy. Chen's voice hardened. For years, you've watched us and judged us as primitive. You never considered that we might be watching you too, learning your weaknesses, preparing for this inevitable confrontation. The Defiant systems continued to power up, revealing capabilities far beyond what the Confederation had believed humans possessed. Stealth technology that had kept their true advancements hidden. Weapons systems reverse-engineered from salvage technology and improved upon with human ingenuity. This is your only warning, Admiral, Chen continued. The Defiant carries prototype weapons specifically designed to combat Confederation technology. We don't want war, but we won't accept subjugation either. Thorax's tactical display was now showing the Defiant's true capabilities, and for the first time in his long military career, he felt uncertainty. The human ship's power readings were still inferior to his fleet, but the unknown factor gave him pause. You still face overwhelming odds, Captain, Thorax said, regaining his composure. One ship, no matter how advanced, cannot stand against the might of the Confederation. Perhaps, Chen acknowledged. But are you willing to gamble your fleet to find out? Because I can guarantee that even if you destroy us, the cost will be far higher than you're prepared to pay. The tension on both bridges was palpable. The Confederation fleet had never faced such defiance from a supposedly inferior species, and unknown to Thorax, the Defiant's apparent transformation was only the beginning of humanity's plan. You have 10 minutes to withdraw your fleet and agree to diplomatic talks, Chen said firmly. After that, we will consider your actions a declaration of war against Earth and all human colonies. As the communication ended, Thorax turned to his advisors in fury. Prepare to fire. This human audacity ends now. But High Commander Vilix hesitated. "Admiral, our scans cannot penetrate their new shielding. We don't know what they're truly capable of." "It doesn't matter," Thorax snarled. "They are one ship. We are 200. A ship that concealed its true nature from all our previous scans," Velix pointed out. "We should proceed with caution." As the Confederation fleet prepared their attack, Captain Chen and her crew finalized their preparations. They were the bait, the distraction, the lone ship that would demonstrate to the Confederation that humans were not to be underestimated. "All systems ready, Captain," Torres reported. "Quantum entanglement communicator is maintaining link with Earth Command." Chen nodded. "Shield modulators programmed with Confederation weapon frequencies. Adaptive defense systems online. Prototype weapons charged and ready." She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. The Defiant couldn't defeat 200 ships, not directly. But they didn't need to win the battle to win the war. "All hands," she announced shipwide. "Battle stations. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Today, we show the galaxy what one human ship can do." As the Confederation fleet opened fire, the Defiant's true capabilities were finally revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The battle that changed everything. The first volley from the Confederation fleet illuminated space like artificial lightning, hundreds of energy beams converging on the lone human vessel. By all logic, by all military doctrine across a dozen advanced civilizations, the Defiant should have been vaporized instantly. It wasn't. Adaptive shields holding at 82%. Lieutenant Karim reported, his voice steady despite the barrage hammering their ship. "Confederation weapons adjusting frequencies, attempting to penetrate our defenses." Captain Chen nodded, unsurprised. "Just as our simulations predicted. Implement shield rotation protocols. Execute evasive pattern Delta 6. The Defiant suddenly moved with impossible agility for a vessel its size, weaving through the energy beams with precision that left Confederation tactical officers stunned. The human ship's shields shimmered with an iridescent glow as they continuously adapted to the incoming fire. On the eternal dawn, Admiral Thorax watched in growing rage as the supposedly primitive human vessel evaded their coordinated attack. "Impossible," he snarled. "Their maneuverability defies the laws of inertia." High Commander Velix studied the tactical display with growing concern. "They appear to be using some form of targeted gravitational manipulation. Our shots are being deflected or absorbed. All ships, switch to quantum torpedoes," Thorax ordered. "Full spread. They cannot possibly defend against that much firepower." As the Confederation fleet adjusted their attack, Captain Chen and her crew prepared for the next phase. This was the moment they had trained for, the culmination of years of secret research and development. "They're launching torpedoes," Torres warned. "Reading quantum signatures, approximately 300 incoming." Chen's expression remained calm. "Activate the Chimera system." Throughout the ship, crew members exchanged knowing glances. The Chimera system was humanity's greatest technological achievement, and their most closely guarded secret. "Chimera online," Chief Engineer Dr. Lakshmi Patel confirmed from engineering. "Quantum field stabilized. Ready on your mark, Captain." As the torpedoes closed in, Chen gave a simple command: engage. The space around the Defiant seemed to ripple, like heat waves over desert sand. The incoming torpedoes suddenly slowed, their quantum signatures fluctuating wildly. Then, impossibly, they began to change course, turning away from the Defiant and back toward the Confederation fleet. "What is happening?" Thorax demanded as alarms blared across his bridge. "How are they redirecting our weapons?" "Unknown technology," Velix replied, genuine fear in his voice for the first time. "They've somehow reversed the quantum guidance systems. Our own torpedoes are targeting us." Across the Confederation fleet, ships broke formation, desperately trying to evade their own weapons. Several smaller vessels weren't fast enough. Brilliant explosions marked their destruction as the torpedoes found their new targets. On the Defiant, the crew worked with practiced efficiency. The Chimera system was taxing the ship's power reserves, but it was working exactly as designed. Quantum reflector functioning at 94% efficiency, Paddle reported. We've redirected most of their torpedoes back at their fleet. Chen nodded. Now for Phase 2. Target their flagship with the Excalibur cannon. From a previously concealed port on the Defiant's bow, a strange apparatus extended. Unlike conventional energy weapons, this device emitted no visible beam. Instead, it projected a focused stream of particles that existed partially outside normal spacetime, the result of humanity's experiments with dimensional physics. When the weapon fired, there was no dramatic light show, no Hollywood-style energy beam. There was only a subtle distortion in space, and then the sudden catastrophic failure of the Eternal Dawn's primary shields. Direct hit, Karim confirmed. Their flagship's defensive systems are offline. On the Confederation flagship, chaos reigned. Systems failed across the massive vessel as the unknown human weapon played havoc with their technology. Emergency power kicked in, but the damage was done. The proud flagship of the Confederation fleet was temporarily crippled. How? Thorax demanded, his composure finally breaking. How is this possible? They're using technology we've never seen before. That's because we developed it ourselves. Chen's voice came through their communication systems, which should have been disabled. Humanity doesn't advance by following established paths. Admiral, we innovate, we adapt, we overcome. The battle continued for another 20 minutes, but the outcome was already clear. The Defiant couldn't destroy the entire Confederation fleet, but it didn't need to. With each passing moment, it demonstrated capabilities that shocked and frightened the Confederation forces. The human ship moved with impossible agility, reflected attacks back at its attackers, and deployed weapons that bypassed shields and armor that had been impenetrable for centuries. Finally, Admiral Thorax made the call that would change galactic history. All ships, ceasefire, he ordered, his voice tight with controlled fury. Maintain defensive positions only. A stunned silence fell across the battlefield. For the first time in 10,000 years, a Confederation fleet had been forced to stand down by a supposedly inferior species. When communications reopened between the flagships, Chen's expression was solemn but not triumphant. This wasn't about victory. It was about survival. Admiral Thorax, she said, I believe we were discussing diplomatic relations between Earth and the Confederation. Thorax's scales had darkened with rage and humiliation. Your deception was necessary, Chen interrupted firmly. You came here with 200 warships to force our submission. We came with one ship to prove we wouldn't submit. Now that we understand each other better, perhaps real dialogue can begin. After a tense pause, High Commander Velix stepped forward. Captain Chen, your demonstration has been enlightening. The Confederation Council will need to reassess their understanding of human capabilities and human intentions, Chen added. We don't seek conflict, Commander. Earth wants peaceful relations with all species, but we will not be colonized, subjugated, or contained. The aftermath of what would become known as the Defiant Standoff reshaped galactic politics overnight. The Confederation Council, faced with evidence of human technological innovation they couldn't match, reluctantly agreed to formal diplomatic relations. 2 weeks later, as the Defiant docked at Earth's orbital station, Captain Chen and her crew were welcomed as heroes. But in a private meeting with Earth's Unified Leadership Council, Chen revealed the full truth. The Chimera system nearly burned out after redirecting those torpedoes, she admitted. The Excalibur cannon was operating at 30% capacity at best. Another hour of battle, and we would have been defenseless. But they don't know that, General Santos replied with a knowing smile. And that's the point of the Trojan horse strategy. It's not about winning the battle. It's about changing the enemy's perception. Earth's strategy had never been about military victory. From first contact, Humanity had known they couldn't match the Confederation's numbers or industrial capacity. Instead, they had focused on creating the illusion of technological superiority, convincing the Confederation that humans possessed advancement beyond their understanding. "We showed them what one ship could do," Chen said. "Now they'll always wonder what our fleet might be capable of." In reality, the Defiant was unique, a testbed for experimental technologies, many still highly unstable. Earth couldn't produce these systems en masse, but the Confederation didn't know that. The seeds of doubt had been planted, and Earth would have time to continue developing while protected by the myth of the Defiant. 6 months later, representatives from Earth attended their first Confederation Council meeting. The Grand Chamber fell silent as Captain Chen, now Ambassador Chen, entered alongside Earth's diplomatic team. Many counselors still viewed humans with suspicion, but none could deny the new respect humanity had earned. Admiral Thorax, demoted after the Defiant incident but still influential, watched the proceedings with calculated interest. After the formal ceremonies, he approached Chen in a quiet corridor. "You couldn't have won that battle," he said without preamble. "Not really. Your ship was impressive, but against our entire fleet." Chen met his gaze steadily. "Perhaps, but warfare isn't always about who has the biggest fleet or the most powerful weapons. Admiral, sometimes it's about who's willing to risk everything on a bold strategy." "One ship," Thorax mused. "You changed everything with one ship." "One ship was enough," Chen replied, "because we understood something your Confederation had forgotten after 10,000 years of dominance. True power isn't about what you can destroy, it's about what you can build." As Thorax walked away, Chen smiled quietly to herself. The greatest victory wasn't that humanity had stood against the Confederation. It was that they had forced the galaxy's oldest power to question its own assumptions. And in that questioning lay the seeds of a new order, one where innovation and adaptability might finally be valued over tradition and brute force. In the years that followed, humanity's influence grew not through military might, but through diplomatic ties, cultural exchange, and technological innovation. The Defiant became a symbol across the galaxy, a reminder that appearances could be deceiving, that underestimating an opponent could be catastrophic, and that sometimes, just sometimes, one ship was enough to change everything. The Confederation had expected to face a primitive species easily brought to heel. What they found instead was humanity, creative, unpredictable, and absolutely unwilling to surrender. They had thought an army was coming someday, but one human ship had been enough to change the course of galactic history forever.